And I will let you know something that I insinuated on this stream yesterday as potential tea now is being reported as actual tea. And that's why we have the title of today's stream. If you were paying attention yesterday, we talked about Anthony Richardson. Maybe, kind of, sort of, I'm hearing whispers about Anthony Richardson maybe being taken first overall. Now, all of a sudden, less than 24 hours later, we have people with blue checks saying that they're hearing whispers that the Panthers are still considering Anthony Richardson at number 1. We'll get there. That's the lead topic. That's why you most likely clicked on this stream. And away we go. We have some new NFL mock drafts. I've been trying to diversify the mock drafts here. We've been using about the same 2 or 3 for the better part of a few weeks. But I found another mock draft that has some differences, could lead to some interesting debate here, and especially in the chat potentially once we get there, and salute to those who pull up to the chat. And lastly, Daniel Snyder. He gets his bag, but will he skate the still ongoing NFL investigation? There's people on Congress, people at Congress waiting for the results of a pending NFL investigation on Daniel Snyder while he tries to ride off into the sunset with 6 Billy. We'll touch on that when we get there. I just want y'all to know, sometimes when I say, hey, look, I'm hearing some things, I know people, group chats, whatever, sometimes the information is valid. I'll let you know when I'm just hearing stuff and I don't know if there's any validity to it. But now all of a sudden, we were here yesterday and I said, hey, look, man, the Panthers have done a lot. They've brought in Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell fixed Peyton Manning. He fixed Matthew Stafford. He fixed Joe Flacco. They all went on to win Super Bowls. He's a real QB whisperer. He's not one of these boy geniuses like McVay, like a Shanahan. There's actual evidence of him fixing quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks that had mechanic issues. Peyton Manning, for as much as he's hallowed, he has some mechanic issues. And Jim Caldwell was the one to fix those mechanic issues. Same thing with Matthew Stafford. Same thing with Joe Flacco. If you look at those 3 quarterbacks prior to Jim Caldwell getting to them and look at the numbers with and after Jim Caldwell fixes them, all 3 were night and day differences. So why jump up from 9-1 to take a safe bet? Why jump up from 9-1 to take a QB that's barely taller than Mina Kimes? You jump up from 9-1, maybe, kinda, sorta, to take the most rawest prospect that has the highest ceiling when you know you got a real QB whisperer in the building. With that backdrop, I give you this. Florida QB Anthony Richardson, quote, remains under consideration, end quote, to be the Panthers' top pick. A source told, not sure who this person is, but he's a Carolina Panthers reporter of some sort. Who knows? Works for The Athletic, as you see here on the link. Despite all of that, they put the caveat here. This is an editorial note. This is not part of the report, but just an editorial note. Despite that, Bryce Young is still considered the favorite to go first overall. Tried to tell y'all yesterday. All right, let's hit the chat early. What is up, y'all? Happy Friday. It is hot as hell up here in the tri-state. This is the first time it's feeling like summer's here, even though it's still only April. It is hot up in NYC, New Jersey, tri-state area today. Corey's in the house. Anthony Richardson, yeah, no thanks. Okay. Any QB that gives him Lamar vibes, Corey's just not with it. So just chat, understand it. Any QB that resembles anything, Anything that could be misconstrued as Lamar Jackson, like, Corey is not with it. Give him a Joe Burrow. Give him a Josh Allen. Give him a Jay Herbo. Don't give him no Lamar Jackson. Make of that what you will, chat. Bring the heat. Anthony Richardson has the highest upside. Yeah, and I don't even think it's close. I don't think it's close. And I would be interested to know. Because again, if you're making the jump, and we'll go to the mock draft we've been using, right? To go from 9 to 1, to give up what they gave up. Future first, future seconds, DJ Moore. They gave up a lot to the Bears. Are we really convinced that they're jumping that far up for a CJ Stroud? Would you jump up 8 spots to get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young? Whoever tickles your fancy. Would you jump up that high for CJ Stroud? Are you that convinced CJ Stroud is him that you would jump from 9 to 1? I don't know if I would do that. 9 to 1, that's a humongous jump. Insane. I think there's definitely some smoke here. I think there's definitely some smoke here where you have to consider it. And you know how Jim Caldwell's in that building. You know Jim Caldwell has probably scouted all these dudes. He hasn't left the game completely, even when he wasn't hired by any team. He's too good not to still be, up to speed on these players. I'm sure he's very aware of the flaws of all these QBs. If he's the voice in the room that they actually listen to, if David Tepper out there in Carolina actually wants to make an impact and he's made some interesting moves, I still think Steve Wilks should have been given a shot at the real job. Frank Reich, pedigree, I get it, I understand. But in regards to if I'm Tepper, I'm leaning on Jim Caldwell. Jim, who's the guy? Who's the franchise guy? Because you don't want to be like the Browns and you take Baker Mayfield and he was never. None of us thought he was going to be a franchise QB. We thought he might be an okay starter at best, but none of us thought franchise QB. But the Browns thought they were thinking outside the box and he jumped out the window and took Baker Mayfield. I don't feel this is that if they go here with Anthony Richardson at 1. I think you take Anthony Richardson at 1 because he can be a real franchise QB, a legitimate franchise QB. Not just, well, he's our QB1. No, he's the guy. A lot of teams just have a QB1 just because they can't find another guy that's better. Desmond Ridder is a QB1. They refuse to get involved with Lamar Jackson, so that's the best option they got. He's QB1. He's not the guy. There's a difference. I see Corey has the chat fired up, so let's go ahead and just jump in. Let's see. Okay, so he'll take Jalen Hurts. Okay, so if we broke that narrative. It was looking shaky, though. You notice he didn't say no to any of the names I said he would rock. So, at least we have a few, some melanin on that list, at least. Lombardi Leap, anything close to LJ and the haters come out. Big facts. Big facts. Boogie Down, what's good, bro? Thank you for pulling up. Glad you're able to tap in. And here's Corey's reach. Give me Kyler. And I'm glad some people are making some of the same things I would say. COD. Yep. COD. I see it here in the chat. Yep. Mans needed a COD homework like dogs. Just go study your playbook. Please, we're begging you. We're going to pay you to study your playbook. Bring the heat. We're sharing the brain right there, sir. Yeah, y'all are going to have to get familiar with Corey. He knows how to stir the pot. Much how sometimes we think Joshua, I don't know if Joshua is here today. He's probably pulling up later, but so certain people, their opinions just naturally stir the pot. Corey's one of those. I won't say where he got it from, but his natural inclination is to stir the pot. Let's see. So, if Anthony Richardson goes number 1, how does that shape the draft? I want to play that out. Richardson goes 1, shakes up the draft. If you're the Texans, now what are you doing? What are you doing? Do you have to now readjust? Because again, they said they're not sold on just taking a QB, but if Stroud is there, do they change up? I don't think they're that enthralled with taking Bryce Young. That's just my opinion. If I am D'Amico Ryan and I've built my credibility on defense, establishing that as the base and the linchpin of an organization, this is the pick that him and the front office are going to be judged by for his tenure. Are you really going to tie that to the back of a guy who, by this report, is 5'10", but after the pictures we examined yesterday of him with Mina Kimes, ain't no way in hell he 5'10". Maybe 5'10" with cleats, with them extra long cleats. Are you really going to hitch your legacy, your first opportunity as a coach as a head coach at this level? Are you really going to tie it to Bryce Young? So let's say they go Will Anderson here. Now what do you do with 3 at Arizona? Now they really are in the driver's seat. If Anthony Richardson goes first and then Will Anderson goes second and the Arizona's here at 3rd, they can have a ransom for this 3rd pick. They can go crazy with their demands. Because there will be teams who will want CJ Stroud at 3. Or maybe even Bryce Young at 3. If you're the Raiders are probably trying to move up. Hell, the Colts might want to move up at that point in time. If you're Seattle, with the extra picks that they have, they might want to see if they can move up. Falcons, like damn near all these teams, if the Panthers shake the table and go Anthony Richardson, that will be the most fun for this upcoming draft to me. Boogie down. Corey worse than Joshua. That's saying a lot. I won't go there yet. I don't think so. Not yet. Not yet. And you see how, and they finally updated this mock draft. Updated 2 days ago. They had went like over a week without updating it. Michael Mayer's dropping. And I know Corey loves this. He's fallen all the way, allegedly 26 to the Cowboys. Yes, you heard that. On top of him stirring the pot, Corey is a Cowboys fan. So again, act accordingly. So Michael Mayer, all the way down here at 26, in most people's eyes, he's the clear, tight end, TE1 of this draft. To have the best tight end in the draft be there at 26 with the way that tight ends are being used in this league, pretty shocking to me. Because a lot of these teams that are passing on him would and should use him. Like the fact that we're gonna go. I know the Lions have a young tight end that they had last year. That's why they were able to flip Hawkinson. But I mean, I would investigate that at 18. Tampa Bay should be investigating that. Seattle, I can't name. There's not a team here except for the Vikings and I guess the Jaguars because they have Evan Ingram. And maybe the Giants. But there's a ton of teams in the teens who should be looking at Michael Mayer. Anthony Richardson number one to the Panthers. When I saw that report, I was like, oh, this is great. I was like, I literally just said that last night on the chat, on the stream. I'm like, wow. All right, let me see what's up with the chat. Wow, you guys are getting worked up over Kyler Murray in the chat. Okay. Hey, look, if Joshua's not going to be here, at least we know we have Corey who can stir up the chat. Thank you for those who are pulling up. We are trying to get a little mock draft stuff here. There's reports about Anthony Richardson potentially being the number one overall pick. He remains under consideration by the Panthers for the top pick. That's something I referenced yesterday. That's something that I have heard through back channels. And now today, via the Athletic, we're getting some, confirmed rumors, innuendo, whatever, in regards to Anthony Richardson potentially being the top pick. So we'll move on to another quick mock draft. So this one, done by Bleacher Report. This one's pretty stock, if you ask me. They got Bryce Young, number one to the Panthers. You know, it just doesn't hit the same now that we have potentially AR going to Carolina. But Bryce Young to the Panthers, C.J. Stroud to Houston. The Colts move up to 3 to get Anthony Richardson. Arizona, after collecting extra draft capital, still gets what many feel is the best edge rusher, except for Chris Sims, in this draft with Will Anderson. And then the Seahawks sitting there at 5, thanks to Russell Wilson, gets another Wilson, Tyree. So no real big shakeups here. Ooh, Witherspoon this high. This would be, I mean, I know they just traded Oduka, but come on, man. Okuda, like, come on, dogs. I don't know if I'm taking Witherspoon that high. But that, to me, is definitely a reach, if that happens. The Raiders passing on Levis. Raiders passing on Levis if this holds. Okay. Falcons go Miles Murphy. Okay. Not mad at that. Bears get Jalen Carter. If the Bears are able to go from 1 to 9 and still get the guy that I think is really high on their board, Ryan Poles, he would be minted in that city already. Now, again, I think with everything that he's gone through since the championship, there are certainly some question marks. But if he can right himself mentally, physically, spiritually, motivationally, getting him at 9 would be a steal off rip. And he would be perfect for that D-line. That D-line hasn't been that great, especially on the interior, since Tommy Harris. If they could find a way to get Jalen Carter on that inside, he would be impactful. Again, an impact player at 9 isn't always the case. The Bears are able to pull this off with DJ Moore, assuming Claypool returns to form, with, Justin Fields hopefully improving his footwork and mechanics. And we had the thing earlier in the week where the Bears are going to have one of the easiest schedules so far based off win projections. The Bears are going to have an easier schedule than most. Bears could be in play here for a big turnaround. Lombardi Elite was good, Lombardi. One of the NFL's 32 owners, Lombardi Elite. Tight end in the first round is a waste, and I'll be so mad if the Packers do that. Really? So even if you have a special talent, you don't think Michael Mayer's a special enough talent? You're not sold on Michael Mayer? I mean, tight ends are all the rage right now. Like, how can you... So tight ends can't have a first-round grade? I'm a little shocked by that. to be quite honest, because if you can have an athlete 6'4", 250, 260, who knows his real weight, right? 6'4.5", 6'5", 250, that can be an athlete that can not just run button hooks and seam routes, but you can line them out wide. You could do you see how important Kelsey is to Mahomes. And again, I'm not saying Mayer is going to be the next Kelsey, but in terms of he's of that mold, that's not worth a first round pick to take a chance to get a guy who could be of that same skill set. That's interesting. Are y'all also in favor of that? Is the chat in favor of tight ends being drafted in the first round? Lombardi Leap tight end class is wide and deep. Pause. And Packers need to wait to the second. All right, but remember, you're going to have allegedly 3 second-round picks. I mean, you're not going to get the best tight end of this draft. But if you're saying it's a deep class, I know it's a deep class in terms of athletes playing tight end. But I think there's a clear drop-off between Mayer and even Kincaid. I'm a little surprised he's sneaking in here at the bottom of the first round. Corey, Bryce Young is significantly better than Anthony Richardson by a mile. Yes, right now. But what happens after Jim Caldwell gets his hands on him? Right now, sure. He is more fundamentally sound as a quarterback. Yes. Hard stop. However, the draft is about projection. The draft is about projection. Because I could say Hendon Hooker is better right now than Anthony Richardson. But I'm not taking Hendon Hooker over Anthony Richardson. Being better right now is not what the draft is about. The draft is about, we bring this person in to our system with our coaches, with our training staff. How much better can they be 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? I hope you're not drafting Bryce Young because you want him right now, in terms of this is his peak or close enough to his peak right now. If that's what you're taking with a top 3, top 4 pick at the quarterback position, I mean, shit, I wouldn't roll with that. I'm not rolling with that philosophy. Especially when I know I have a real QB whisperer in the building. If I have a mid staff, if my staff is just average, then yeah, maybe you take the safer pick, right? But if I know I got a guy who has a proven track record of fixing quarterbacks, like Jim Caldwell, give me the project with the biggest ceiling. Don't give me the safe guy. Jim Caldwell can't do that much with CJ Stroud, can't do that much with Bryce Young. He could tinker some things. They're almost ready-made prospects. But this Anthony Richardson thing, he's like a quarter mold of clay. Caldwell can mold that thing into a premier top-tier QB. And why can I say that with such conviction? Because he's done it 3 times with 3 different quarterbacks. So I would put more stock in Jim Caldwell than just saying, well, Bryce Young is ready right now. Yeah, that's cool. But is he still going to be ready in 3 years compared to what potentially Jim Caldwell could do with Anthony Richardson in 3 years? Would you make that same choice in 3 years once the mechanics are figured out? Bring the heat. I'll take Anthony Richardson with the right guy to fix his mechanics like Caldwell will be better than Young by miles in the long run. I think that's highly likely. And here's where Corey hasn't done his research. There's no evidence that supports that. There's no evidence that Caldwell could fix QBs because it's just a Google search away. Boogie down. I'm going to go on a limb and say Bears win the division next year. Oh, 13-year-old me loves that comment. 13-year-old me would be hitting the heart and all of that stuff in the chat. Unfortunately, they have done me dirty, Paul, so long ago. I agree with you that they're in the mix. With the demon Aaron Rodgers gone, sorry Lombardi Elite, the Packers take a step back. The Vikings, you can't trust them. They're frauds because we know who their quarterback is. Even though the league keeps giving them fully guaranteed contracts, we know who their quarterback is, right? So can't trust them. The biggest competition in the NFC North is the Lions. They are the sleeping giant. They're going to unleash Jameson Williams next year with no restrictions. They can go in this draft and add to that already stout offense. Or they could try to improve that defense. And that D-line is already strong. So if they go here with Jalen Carter, or let me see what the BR1 had. They think they had taken the DB, right? Witherspoon. If they do this, then to me, that's the Lions going back to being the Lions. You can't do this with the 6th pick, in my opinion. I don't think you go Witherspoon here. If you're going to go DB this high, I think by default you have to go Gonzalez. Even though I really like Witherspoon, I just don't like him at 6. I can't justify that at 6. But this, though, I can justify this. Anthony Richardson remains under consideration to be the Panthers' top pick. Lombardi knows his days are numbered, man. He finally gets to see a suspect quarterback. He hasn't had that since Magic Man, right? Mikowski? He hasn't had that since Mikowski. Boogie down. Bryce Young won't last. Too small. I mean, there's certainly something to that. We went through the stats yesterday of trying to find all the great short quarterbacks. It's a very short list, pun intended. Alex in the chat, what's going on, Alex? I don't think they will go like that though, because we know the Panthers aren't going to draft the way we are thinking. Hey, Alex, I'm just saying, if Jim Caldwell's in the building, he ain't stupid. Now, Tepper and those guys, Frank Reich, they might have their own opinions. I would think Jim Caldwell is like, just give me Anthony Richardson. You saw what I did with Peyton Manning. You saw what I did with Matthew Stafford. Hell, you saw what I did with Flacco. I'm the reason why he got $100 million. Give me Anthony Richardson. In today's NFL, give me Anthony Richardson. I'm sure Caldwell is on that type of time. Corey, who's to say Anthony Richardson will be ready in 3 years? He wasn't that productive at UF. Sure. But if you're going to play the totality game, we know why he wasn't that productive. He didn't get on the field predominantly until last year. So again, we're talking about ceiling. He projects to have the highest ceiling. I don't think that's really that debatable. If you have someone who's a real QB whisperer, not McVay whispering in the headset with, 10 seconds left on the play clock, not Shanahan with his zone running scheme handed down from his pops, a real, legit QB whisperer in Jim Caldwell, and he's in the building, and you make a huge jump from 9 to 1, I don't think you do that for no CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. I just don't. I don't think they're worth that big of a jump. Once you piece everything together in terms of who they have behind the scenes in Carolina, I think this is a real consideration. I don't think this is smoke. I don't think this is just, something to get people to click on. I told you, I heard this yesterday. And now today, it's being reported. This is a real thing that's happening in Carolina. And Jim Caldwell, the fact that he's in that building, he's a factor. Thing is, though, how many QBs haven't fixed their mechanics, aka Tim Tebow, and he can make things happen with his legs? Oh, I'm not sitting here saying take Anthony Richardson just off the strength. I don't trust a lot of teams to fix people's mechanics. I'm saying they have someone in the building who has a track record of fixing mechanics. I wouldn't be on this type of timing. I don't think the people that were telling me this yesterday and the day before, I don't think they would have been telling me this either if it wasn't for Jim Caldwell. He's the reason. So yeah, to your point, Alex, you're right. Like, you can't just say, all right, we'll just fix his mechanics and he'll be fine. No, you got to have the right staff, the right coaches, the right trainers, et cetera, to help in that process. I'm saying Carolina has that in place. So if I'm Carolina and I have someone in place with the proven track record of Jim Caldwell, I now consider Anthony Richardson with the top pick because I have someone who could fix that. And here goes where Corey exposes himself. There's no evidence that supports that because Peyton was already a Heisman winner. Okay, so I thought he was talking about Jim Caldwell here. So I don't know who he's getting at there. Lombardi Leap is just a rebuild. Reload. Yeah, it's been years. Yeah, I think it's definitely you're rebuilding on the fly. It's not a complete tear it all down, but it's definitely rebuilding on the fly. Alex Jordan Love, sorry to say, but he's not. Yeah, he's definitely not a franchise QB, but he's QB1. He's QB1. So he is Desmond Ridder. He's QB1. He's Daniel Jones. He's QB1. So, Boogie Down. It's a crime how Caldwell isn't a head coach or at least a coordinator. Well, here's the thing. Yes, hard stop, right? Yes. However, if he can make an impact, if he's now with a team, with a organization that is at least heeding his advice and allowing him impact at this level where he can influence a team to take a project like Anthony Richardson, potentially number 1 overall, I think that's a decent fallback option. He may not be the head coach on the field, but being up top, being able to whisper to Tepper, hey, Anthony Richardson, I can fix that, by the way. That could go way longer than being down there on the sidelines for 17 weeks. That might do the franchise better than him being on the sidelines coaching for 17 weeks. Man, the fact that Tim Tebow's name is being mentioned in this chat is wild. Thank y'all for those who are pulling up. If you haven't had the chance yet, if you could hit that like button, so that will let people know that we're having a good conversation. We're active in the chat. It just lets YouTube know that y'all are enjoying this content. So your boy would appreciate that. You could tap that like button to let more people know and have them pull up. Because I think, this audience is growing stream by stream. And, I like the mix we have of people in here that are active in the chat, that are knowledgeable in the chat. And we could definitely continue to build upon that. Let's see. Now we're having a UF breakdown. Heisman QBs. Okay. All right. Let's go. What Heisman QB has won a Super Bowl or league MVP? 2, Lamar Jackson. and Cam Newton both won MVP, and that's it. Heisman don't mean anything. It certainly doesn't mean as much as it used to. That's for sure. It certainly does not mean as much as it used to. Interesting. So, Alex, you think just because he's QB1, that makes him a franchise QB? Because that's interesting. Oh, no, but earlier you said he's not a franchise QB. He's just QB1. He's just QB1. Okay, let's see. So, any other surprises in this BR mock draft? Let's see. Round out the top 10. Van Ness from Iowa. Not as sexy as having Jalen Carter and pairing him with Jordan Davis again. But Luke Van Ness from Iowa, that could go. Put him alongside Fletcher Cox and all that. Titans sitting at 11 get Will Levis. Will Levis at 11 to the Titans. And then the Texans sitting there get Smith and Jigba from Ohio State. So now they could potentially walk away with who? Stroud? They walk away with Stroud and Njigba just by holding pat. They don't make any moves. They don't move up, not to do anything, and they walk away. I think if they're able to pull that off, DeMeco Ryans has to be happy with that. Even though he's a defensive guy, he knows that you have to put up points in this league. But being able to walk away in your first draft with Jackson Smith and Jigba and C.J. Stroud, having that tandem and bringing them to the league, I'm not saying they're going to be Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but I also don't think they're going to be Derek Carr and, Devontae Adams either. They could be somewhere in between. But being able to walk away with that, having multiple first-round picks, that's a pretty good day if you're the Houston Texans. That's a good start to the rebuild. Alex Van Ness is a monster. Yeah, all the tape I've been watching, I've been trying to get up to speed on him, and yeah, everything, he just jumps off. He just jumps off the screen. Jets go O-line. I defy y'all to find me a mock draft that doesn't have Joey Porter to the Patriots. Like a credible one. Every single mock draft I've seen Joey Porter to the Patriots. Is it that easy? Is it that simple? I mean, yeah, they lost some vets. McCourty's gone and all that, but damn. Ooh, Lombardi Leap, what's good? Lombardi Leap, what's good? As an owner of the Green Bay Packers, explain yourself. Explain yourself. I'm going to let this sit on the screen for Lombardi Leap, who was just telling us as owner of the Green Bay Packers that tight ends should not be taken in the first round. Who's leaking information in your front office, Lombardi? Some ain't right. Some ain't right. Head back to the chat. Man, we're having a Tim Tebow discussion in 2023. That's how active the chat is right now. Boogie down. Tebow couldn't throw a spiral in college. Anthony Richardson throws a pretty ball, but inconsistent with accuracy. Totally different from Tebow. Corey, we need to stop talking about pedigree, about someone who couldn't get on the field at UF. They haven't been a relevant program in almost a decade. All right, Lombardi, you have a fan in Corey. Lombardi's actually correct. We've never seen a rookie tight end impact on offense. All right. It's time to do that thing we call a deep dive. Let me get the right windows up. Let's see. Who do we have here? Sorry for all the typing. Okay, so we have. All right, we'll go by StatMuse. Although StatMuse is a little janky, but we'll still go there anyway. Okay. If you're just going by yards, nope, don't want to do that. I'm going to do this. Okay. If you go by yards, we have Cal Pitts last. What was that? Yeah, last year. Or 2 years ago, sorry. If we're going by, let's see, touchdowns. Gronk had 10 touchdowns as a rookie. Evan Ingram, even Aaron Hernandez. If we're going by targets, oh, we're not doing targets, okay. Receptions. Still Pitts, still Evan Ingram. So there's a decent sample size of tight ends who have been able to make an impact. If you're talking about superstar impact, sure. But I think in regards to first round talents, I wouldn't be opposed to taking a tight end number one. Because we have to understand tight ends of this generation are being used differently than tight ends over our lifetimes. Let's just go ahead and keep it a buck. There is an emphasis on tight ends in this era of football like we've never seen before. Tight ends were just blockers who could catch. It's been completely inverted now. We're getting guys who are borderline receivers at tight end. It's a different makeup. So while I think there is some point to maybe not taking a tight end in the first round, I think this generation, this iteration of tight ends are nowhere near what we grew up being accustomed to. So if we're going to continue to evolve with the sport, we can't keep thinking old school in terms of, well, tight ends block first, catch later. There are tight ends like Gesicki doesn't have to block. Gesicki is basically a receiver that you could line them up inside. Like it's evolving. So I think we're in that curve of where we're transitioning out of the traditional tight end look and feel in the way we evaluate the position. And we now have to look at it as pass first, catch first, block second. How fast is he? How tall is he? What's the route running look like? What's the footwork look like? Can he get in and out of the breaks? Can he fight off the line? If we line him up wide, is he comfortable? Like there's a different set of evaluating you have to do now with tight ends. We're getting legitimate athletes, not just big plotters who can catch. The days of Jason Witten are over. You're not drafting Jason Wittens no more. You're drafting athletes. We're not doing no 8-yard button hooks no more. We're getting real bona fide athletes at this position. So we kind of have to move out of that mindset of, well, we can't take a tight end in the first round because, well, who says you can't do that? In this era of tight end, every team needs a tight end. Every successful offense has a tight end. And as these dudes keep coming out of college and they're being better and better athletes, you're going to have to start taking tight ends in the first round. Y'all might not want to do it this year, but it ain't that far away. So y'all can hold on to that old shit if y'all want. But soon come, you're going to have to start taking tight ends in the first round. Lombardi Leap. I'll give Love 2 seasons before making judgment. He's younger than Jalen Hurts. If he is bad, Packers clean house. Okay. Respect that. Corey saying Gronk is an outlier. He's the best tight end ever. Agree with the second part. I'm not sure on the outlier part. If you're just doing, touchdowns, sure. But I mean, Pitts, say what you will about Pitts. Put up 1,000 yards, 70 catches, over 100 targets. Boogie down. Tight ends ain't worth it. Ask the Ravens who drafted Hayden Hurst in the first round of 2018. Yeah, but Hayden Hurst doesn't fit that mold of what we're talking about. Now he was supposed to be that, but I never looked at him like that. So again, and we know the Ravens' track record with drafting ain't the greatest either. Their talent evaluators aren't the best either. So, they took Hayden Hurst before they took Lamar that draft, right? I mean, now if you're telling me a tight end has to have Odell-like impact to be considered for the first round, like that's asking too much, I think. I think that's asking a lot. But all right, in a couple of years, I don't think y'all gonna have all this vitriol. I don't think in a couple of years y'all gonna have all this vitriol. There's gonna be a bunch of, Kyle Pittses running around here up and down that draft board, and y'all all gonna be salivating for him. Tight end can wait, and history has shown that. Okay, all right. History is in the past, right? The old days, to quote The Wire, the old days, to think about the old days, those the old days. Shout out Slim Charles. This ain't that. We're moving forward. And here's Corey willing to stir it up again, saying Pitts is a bust. 2 years in, Pitts is a bust already. Alex, you took the bait. You took the bait. But we will let Corey get his hot takes off. And while he is feverishly thumbing away his vitriol towards Kyle Pitts, so obviously hurt last year, and also Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. So take that as what you will. But when he had at least a upright Matt Ryan, he put up respectable numbers and numbers that bear out to be really good for tight ends. So yeah, Slim Charles, man. Shout out to Slim Charles. Just finished rewatch. Corey knows this, but I just finished rewatching The Wire because of the death of Lieutenant Daniels on the show. So had to go ahead and do a full rewatch, seasons 1 through 5 of The Wire, and yeah, some of those quotables are just so elite and so immortal. Cal Pitts ruined the market for tight ends. All right, chat. He's all yours. It's a passing league. Yards are very misleading. Yet, you're doing that with tight ends, but we don't do that with quarterbacks, though. How come? Because if yards are very misleading, then passing yards must also be misleading, right? But we don't find that to be the case. Lombardi Leap, yeah, yards are misleading. Okay, all right. I want y'all to keep that same energy. When I pull up these stats, because some of y'all favorites are on this list, so then these yards must be misleading, right? Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Jay Herbo, Mahomes, all these yards are misleading then, right? Because you can't say only receiving yards are misleading, but passing yards aren't. I'm not rolling with that. All right, so where were we? We were at your man's. Oh, no, we will get off that for now. Cal Pitts. The death of the tight end. Look at Jared Goff and Kirk. All right. But so then, okay, if I follow y'all down this rabbit hole, then what metrics really matter? I'm going to play dumb. I'm not going to put my judgment on it. I'm going to let y'all tell me in the chat what metrics really matter. If yards are misleading for all parties involved, so that means quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, everybody. If that's an outdated, overvalued metric, then what is? Because I'm going to make y'all live y'all raps today. I'll wait for the chat to catch up. I want to know what is the metric then, or the metrics if there's more than one. And then we're going to go down these metrics and y'all going to have to validate what y'all type in that chat. Because that to me just sounds like a thing, but I don't think that there's anything that can actually be backed up. Numbers are here for a reason. You have to have quantifiable evidence of something. Stats are quantifiable evidence of results. Don't see, here we go. See, here's the nonsense. Consistency. Consistency. Consistency is not a stat. Sorry. Consistency is not a stat. Y'all gonna have to back this up. Consistency. See, y'all gonna have to back this up. No, y'all can't run from it. Don't run from it. Because then you're talking about averages. Consistency is an average then, right? I'll help y'all. Consistency is an average then, right? So then you're talking about what? You're already throwing away yards. So we can't do yards per average. Yards per attempt. Can't do that, right? Even though that's an average, because yards is an overrated metric. So we got to get rid of all of that, right? Yards gained, we got to get rid of that, right? Because y'all said yards is an overvalued metric. Yards per game, we got to get rid of that, right? Because y'all said that's an overvalued metric. Net yards gained, we got to get rid of that because y'all understand the theme. Everything that's tied, that's a quantifiable metric, is tied to yards, but y'all are telling me yards are misleading. QBR. You sure you want to do QBR? Because I'm sure you can see on this screen, it ain't working out too well for some of your favorites. You sure you want to do QBR? And let me just double check. I'll come off the screen for a hot second because I want to make sure. Because if we're doing that, how is total QBR calculated? We explain our quarterback rating. Let's see. Good Lord. Why do they have to make it so difficult just to find a simple answer? Division of credit. What? Efficiency stat. Not a value stat. Okay. That's something. Just tell me how you do it. QBR is a efficiency stat similar to yards per play or yards per attempt. Okay, y'all told me yards don't matter. QBR is an efficiency stat similar to yards per play or yards per attempt. But y'all told me yards are misleading. Make up y'all mind. What metric matters most? Because then we got to throw QBR out because QBR is weighted based on yards. I'm waiting in the chat. Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. Because y'all don't want nothing to do with yards. Yet y'all just saw the breakdown of QBR that says QBR is essentially tied to yards per attempt in matters of the like. So y'all need to make up y'all minds. Y'all are saying things, and I'm not hating on y'all, not judging y'all. I'm just saying, like, this is where we say things and it sounds like it's a thing, but no, it's just a thing you're trying to run away from. Yards matter. Yards are important. Alex, you are giving them bail with this comment. Let them hold firm on QBR. Let them hold firm. Don't give them an out. They want QBR, even though QBR is tied to the things that they said don't matter much, then let them die on that hill. Because if we go by QBR, it's a lot of nasty work. A lot of favorites are down bad in QBR. Justin Fields has a better QBR than Tom Brady. And Kyler Murray, by the way, Corey. Jimmy Garoppolo has a better QBR than Kyler Murray. Marcus Mariota has a better QBR than Kyler Murray and Tom Brady. Your favorite, Dak Prescott, has a better QBR than Mariota, Trevor Lawrence, Garoppolo, Brady. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Jacoby Brissett has a better QBR than Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Jay Herbo, Dak Prescott. And y'all are telling me QBR is a better representation when Jacoby Brissett is better at quarterback than Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson. I guess the Lamar part, the Lamar part, some of y'all probably agree with. But also Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott. Daniel Jones, better QBR than Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott. Shall I go on? Jared Goff, better QBR than Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott. Come on, man. Can we talk yards now? Alex, I'm just saying truth, that QBR is not a standalone stat. No. This isn't towards you, Alex. This is not towards you. They said consistency, right? Consistency is not a stat, right? And you also echoed that in the chat. So then I said, well, what metric? They said passing yards is overvalued and misleading. Okay, then what stat is it? And then the chat came up with QBR as the metric. And then we looked up QBR, and QBR is based largely off of yards. So it's like, make up your mind. Yes, it has other things in there. So if we want to go down that rabbit hole and stick with QBR, look at what we get here. Jared Goff is better than Joe Burrow, Jay Herbo, Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence. These are quarterbacks that were in the playoffs. Okay? Daniel Jones, better than Joe Burrow. I think you have to take a look at all of it over a certain number of years. Right, but y'all don't want to include yards. And I'm trying to show y'all yards matter. I'm trying to show y'all yards matter. That's why I'm going. That's why I'm ranting right now. I'm ranting right now because y'all told me yards are misleading. And I'm sitting here like, how can you discount yards? The quarterback's job is to throw the ball for yards. How can you say yards are misleading? In certain cases, yes, they can be misleading. But you can't just whitewash that across all quarterbacks or all receivers or all running backs or all tight ends. I asked for the metric. Y'all told me consistency, which is not a metric. I asked for a metric again. Then y'all told me QBR. Exactly. You can't just pick yards and say that's it. No one's saying that. I just said yards is a big barometer. And then y'all told me yards are misleading. So it's like, okay, but everything is based off yards. Even the advanced analytics, the advanced metrics are based off yards. I'm going to let y'all die on that hill if you want, not me. I appreciate you, Alex. But bring the heat. No one is saying this stat right here, passing yards, is the only stat that matters, right? However, you don't get these numbers, yards gained per pass attempt or adjusted yards gained per pass attempt, which are heavily involved in QBR, without this stat. So that's kind of you can't just say, well, this number's misleading, but these two numbers, which help makes up this number, aren't. Because you can't get to these numbers without this number. So yes, I'd never sat here and said this is the only stat that matters, but this number matters a lot because it gives you these numbers, which helps get you this number. So I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. You know, as you see here, Mahomes is by far and away the best in QBR, like by a good chunk of change too. And Lamar having a better QBR than Joe Burrow, what's good? Lamar having a better QBR than Jay Herbo, what's good? Just saying. All the people that said Lamar had a bad year, if you go by QBR, your narratives aren't narrating. I think QBR is biased too. So then there's no metric alive that actually fits. There's no narrative, there's no metric, there's no analytics that y'all have faith in then. If you're saying yards are misleading, So anything that's assigned to yards is misleading, which would also include QBR and to a lesser degree QB rating. Then these numbers don't mean anything. Then these numbers don't mean anything. Then everything is eye test. Are we saying that eye test matters over numbers? I understand that there's definitely a huge pushback against the analytical crowd, but just in regards to just fundamental stats, are we pushing back against that now? Because that's news to me. Well, Alex, I appreciate your knowledge, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that this is a diverse audience. So I always have respect for women in this industry and just women who know sports. So you are always welcomed here. You can always get your takes off here. So I'm glad you're here. Bring the heat. So based off those numbers, Gino or LJ? I mean, you know where I'm going. I'm still going LJ. I'm not going Gino. As much as I try to support Gino when he was here in New York in the tri-state area, I mean, that here is the reason why I wouldn't do it, just because Gino is 32 years old. Thank you, Alex. Your insight has been a nice welcome addition. So feel free to always pull up and be here and get your takes off. I always know you'll be respected here. I have too many women in my family who also know sports to have a way or feel a way about another woman who knows sports. I am always, those conversations are usually better than just talking with a bunch of men, to be quite honest with you. I normally learn more about sports from a women's point of view than just talking to a bunch of dudes who think like me. So diverse opinions always matter. As a black man in this sports media industry, I know that more than most. Diversity matters. Diversity of voices and opinions matter. All right. So there is some more information I would like to get into. Let me set up these these windows, these tabs. Colts like Will Levis over Anthony Richardson for one big reason. I will tell you what that one big reason is. It's basically they need a day one starter from this rookie class, and Levis is currently ahead of Anthony Richardson for Indianapolis, according to sources close to the team, because he's more likely to be able to play right away. Funny enough, Jim Caldwell used to be in Indianapolis. If he was still there, I don't know if he would be pushing for them to take Will Levis over Anthony Richardson, but he's not. So now they have to do things where they have to pick the guy that's more ready-made. And that, if you're doing Anthony Richardson versus Will Levis with the 4th pick, or even if they move up to get the 3rd pick, is probably Will Levis. I would not take Will Levis at 3. I have a hard time trying to justify taking Will Levis at 4, but I understand the move if that's where it goes down for the Colts. I still feel, even though it's probably not going to happen, the Lamar angle would have been real nice for them, but it is what it is at this point. So if it's just, take the QB that's there at 4 or move up to 3, then cool. Moving up to 3 to take Will Levis would definitely, it would just be problematic. By the way, should we do a live stream the night of the draft? At least the first round, night 1. Thinking of doing a live stream that night. So let me know if that's something y'all be interested in. We could do like a little watch along, and y'all could pull up here and we could do instant analysis on the fly, because we've done so much draft content over these last few weeks. I feel like we all need to pull up and just be here for night 1 of the draft and see what's good. But anyway, just a thought I had, earlier today. I was like, should I do a live for the first round, at least for the first night? Should we do a stream? Corey's co-signing the stream. Okay. I think that's something I think we could definitely do. I think I have the bandwidth to do it. I got a lot of things set up here now. Over the last few weeks, I've been working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes to get my equipment up to speed and the infrastructure up to speed. So I think we're in a good place to where we can go live that night. Because what's about that? That's an easy 3-4 hours, right? That first round, that's an easy 3-4 hours. I'll see. I'll probably try to get some people to pull up, some people that I trust who know their stuff about the draft. I'm sure there'll be plenty of trades. So I'll see if I can get some people to pull up, some NFL people, some analysts, some experts, and I think we will have a good time with that. Let's see. The Falcons' dream scenario for the 2023 draft would be to pick Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. Matt Miller is doing a lot of work. Matt Miller is doing a lot of work. He is on that phone like Schefter. He is getting some tea. This is his season. He is a big draft guy. A lot of people will be on Schefter for obvious reasons because, he'll be the guy releasing the picks or whatever. But if you want real information from an actual scout, Matt Miller, he's top tier. The source told Miller that the team is comfortable with Desmond Ridder and will only pick a QB in the top 10 if it's Young or Stroud. They currently pick at 8. So now, obviously, no matter what happens, even if Anthony Richardson goes 1 overall, there's no way Stroud or Young are there at 8. What would it take for the Falcons to go from 8 to maybe 3, maybe 4? If Richardson goes first, then one of those guys would be available at 3. Now, if you're the Falcons, how do you get to 3? Because if we're to believe what Matt Miller was told by his source, then potentially, if the Jim Caldwell thing holds true and Anthony Richardson goes number 1 overall, then now you're looking at Young or Stroud being available in that 3 spot, which is the Cardinals are in such a great spot at the 3 spot. Because if one of these QBs is available, they can leverage this pick. I mean, I think they can leverage this pick anyway, because if they go generic, if the Panthers go generic and take Stroud or Young, then people who are enamored with Anthony Richardson could potentially move up to 3 to get him there as well, to play keep away from the Colts. Just a lot of little bits today, like a lot of little tidbits today. And here's something in regards to more Will Levis news. Let's read. This is from The Athletic. Jeff Howe, okay, NFL National Insider for The Athletic. These 2 paragraphs are why I'm projecting, and this is Lance Zierlein. These 2 paragraphs are why I'm projecting Will Levis to be the 3rd QB off the board and to go much higher than tape warrants. This matters a lot for some teams, so let's read. Can we fit it all in that screen? No, we cannot. Okay, we'll read bit by bit. What's more, Levis accomplished all of that in a pro-style offense that Cohen brought from Sean McVay's Rams. While so many college offenses rely on tempo and short play calls from sideline poster boards, Levis's play calls in the huddle were 15 to 20 words, and he went to the line with 3 checks on every play. Those were all things we asked him to do. We also asked Matthew Stafford to do, Cohen said, that every NFL coordinator asks their quarterback to do. So this is insinuating, if you're talking about someone who is more NFL ready, This is tying into the fact of when you're doing Will Levis versus Anthony Richardson, this now could be a factor that can push things over the edge for some NFL teams. More NFL week one ready. Will Levis. Pro style offense. He's already been under a scheme that has to do a lot of verbiage with a lot of checks already built in. So this insinuates that he's more built to start right now, which we know is clear. But also, the fact that he got his play calls in the huddle with 15 to 20 words and he went to the line with three checks on every play, that also helps build reasons why Will Levis might actually be the play over Anthony Richardson, depending on the team. All of this is depending on the team. Because again, if we're playing this game, and we have Will Levis to go at 4, let's say the Cardinals don't do it. They don't trade down. They don't trade back. They stay at 3. If we have Will Levis here at 4, who's going to take Anthony Richardson? How far does he tumble? Let's play that scenario out. Let's imagine this board holds firm 1 through 3. Once we get to 4, if this is Will Levis, where's the next spot y'all see for Anthony Richardson? Is it guaranteed that the Raiders are going to do it? I don't know if McDaniels is going to do it. Would the Falcons do it? Probably not. We know the Bears are not. I mean, I don't think the Lions would do it either, for the record, and I don't think Seattle would do it, for the record. It might be the Titans. But he's better than Malik Willis. Anthony Richardson is better than Malik Willis. If you're the Titans, you have to do it. But let's say they don't. What do you do if you're the Patriots? What do you do if you're the Patriots? I mean, them getting Van Ness is pretty solid. But if a QB is there, I mean, Bill Belichick did take a chance on Cam Newton. And all the narratives, albeit quasi-lazy narratives, all the narratives are saying that Anthony Richardson projects to be a Cam Newton-type player. But let's say the Patriots don't do it. This man could be slip-sliding down this board for a minute. Alexandra's not here, but I wonder if she would do it at 19. I mean, if you're the Seahawks with that second first rounder, you have to consider it. The Lions and the Seahawks both have multiple first round picks. With their second first round picks, if Anthony Richardson is somehow still available, you have to at least consider it. Alex, is possible. I would think not. There's too many teams with multiple first round picks, in my opinion, that he would slip all the way to the second round. But if the Colts take Levis at 4, assuming the Cardinals stay at 3 and take a defensive player, I think it's a possibility. I think it's a real possibility. Lombardi, If I'm the Packers and there's no Van Ness or JSN, I trade down. Okay. Oh, right on time. Alexandra, you're on the clock. Anthony Richardson is still available at 19. Are you taking him? That is your happy Friday. Welcome to pulling up to the street. You're on the clock. Anthony Richardson has somehow slipped past the Colts because they are allegedly looking at Will Levis at 4. AR has slid all the way down to 19. Are you doing it? No worries. I'm just glad you're here. I'm just glad you're here. Don't ever worry. Don't ever worry about being late here. The replays are always posted up, all that stuff. You know, I do clips and all that, but I'm always happy to have you in the chat contributing. Alex says she's not doing it. Okay. But Alexandra, I don't know, because of balls. Okay. It has to be a consideration. There's too many teams with multiple first-round picks. And for a guy like that to still be sitting there at 19, I think if you're the Lions, these three right here, Lions with their second first-round pick, the Bucks at 19, and then the Seahawks with their second first-round pick at 20, they all should be in the mix for Anthony Richardson if he's there. Or do you do it at 23 if you're the Vikings? Like there's a few spots where you can talk yourself into it. But here's the thing with the Bowles piece, and I see Bring the Heat's also mentioning Bowles. I don't think Bowles is going to be there after this year. I don't think Bowles is there for the long haul. So does it really matter? Like, why wouldn't you take him? If not for, I understand the Bowles piece, but I'm sure the next regime could go in there. Like, you think Bowles is going to ruin him that fast and that soon? Like, I don't think he's playing next year anyway. I don't think you start Anthony Richardson week 1 anyway. So you're drafting him saying this is a 2024 thing. So I think there's a good chance Bowles won't be there in 2024. Lombardi. Seattle should, but I don't want them to because I hate their coach. Yeah, Pete Carroll's not the, I won't call him a fraud, but Pete Carroll, remember he was running around with the green smoothies and the yoga and the Pilates, and he thought he was reinventing the wheel, but he just so happened to have the Legion of Boom defense, but he tried to make it seem like it was all about the green smoothies. Like, come on, son. I like a good smoothie, just like the next person, but you're not going to tell me that's what propelled y'all to a Super Bowl and not the Legion of Boom. Alex, yeah, but I also don't know if BA in the front office is going to be on board. Yeah, that's certainly a thing. That's certainly a thing. We also don't know his long-term future. Okay, Alexandra, I don't know if Jason Light would be all that on board. Okay, all right. I was just throwing it out there because, because there's reports. And let me see if I can find it again. Where is it? Nope. Yeah, so a lot of people are projecting Will Levis to be the third QB off the board and to go much higher than Tape Warren. So he's already saying the tape doesn't show he should go third, but because of the fact that he played in a pro-style offense, it's very similar to the McVay offense from the Rams, and he had play calls in the huddle with 15 to 20 words, and he went to the line with 3 checks. He basically was, playing the part. He was playing the role of an NFL starting quarterback in college. He was being prepared to do all the things, learn the jargon, have all the checks on every play. He was being put in position to excel at this level. Maybe not necessarily at the college level, even though he did, but in terms of projecting it forward, he's more week 1 ready, especially when you compare him to someone like Anthony Richardson, who, by all intents and purposes, looks to be a project. Well, with this updated mock draft from 2 days ago, they have Bijan slipping even further down past y'all to the Chargers. And that could be interesting because the whole Austin Eckler thing hasn't panned out. Man's requested a trade, and much like Lamar, it's been kind of quiet on the streets for Austin Eckler. So could the Chargers, if somehow the Bucs pass on Bijan, could that really be a thing where the Chargers give ammunition, even more ammunition, for Austin Eckler to want out of LA by drafting a running back in the first round? It's not like they're just drafting any running back. I think Bijan is going to be really good at this level. Like really, really good at this level. Especially, I think, out the backfield catching the ball. I think catching the ball, Bomani Jones has said he could be Marshall Faulk. Again, I don't want to go that far, but I see what he's talking about. Let's see. There was a few other little tidbits. Oh, Lombardi jumping out the window. Bold prediction, Bijan slips to the second. If that happens, and we're here, and that happens on the live stream, if we get to the end of the live stream, and Alex and Alexander, please feel free to pull up. I'm thinking and most likely going to do a live stream for the first round. That first night, we're going to do a live stream. But so if this happens and we're on that stream and we're at pick 30, whatever, 31, and Bijan is still there, I'm going to rant and rave like y'all haven't seen. I might have a meltdown on the stream. I would be so agitated. I would be furious. I am no kin to Bijan Robinson. I don't know that man, but I would write for him like he's my brother that night if that happens. That would be it would be problematic. I'll just say that if he's still there. If he's still there, oof. All right, let's see. Let's see if there's any tea. It's a Friday. No one has snuck any news out there on a Friday news dump. Well, let's see. Yeah, it's kind of quiet. It's kind of quiet, but we will just make sure. It's a lot of draft rumors, and that's why I don't like putting everyone's rumors up here. You know, there was some stuff about, the Ravens and Cortland Sutton. The Ravens explored a trade for Cortland Sutton at one point. There appeared the two sides were reaching a deal, but Denver then decided they didn't want to trade him. This was before the Odell signing. Like, is that really news? To me, not necessarily, but, it's a Friday, so why not? So there's that. Corey, Bijan gives me Melvin Gordon vibes. Those aren't good vibes then. Bijan is not available at 19. Okay. I mean, where do you have him going then? Because a lot of people are devaluing the running back position. So, I mean, I was listening to a podcast Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. Actually, after the stream yesterday. And there was talk of Bijan top 10 right here to the Eagles. They did lose Miles Sanders, so I don't think that happens, but Lombardi, I think it's going to be good, don't get me wrong, but running backs just aren't valued like they used to as well, unfortunately. But I mean, here's the thing, Lombardi, so then how special does a running back need to be nowadays to go top 10? If Bijan can have people saying he can be the next Marshall Faulk, which is a really, really, generous comparison. That's a very, I would frame that if I'm Bijan. If I had people with real credibility saying I remind them of Marshall Faulk, that's a compliment of all compliments. If that ain't enough to get him to go top 10, what type of running back do you have to be to go top 10? Or is there's nothing any running back can do to ever go top 10? I'm not saying number one overall in the 80s and 90s. I'm just saying top 10. What does a running back have to do to get into the top 10? Because to me, I feel we can devalue the position, but there's only so much you can devalue it. A running game is still effective. To be honest, if I'm a running back, I don't want that 5th-year option on me. Oh, well, then that's something. That's something to consider. If you're a first rounder, you do get that 5th year. You do get that 5th year. 9 to 16-ish for Bijan. Okay. That's not that far from 19. I mean, if he's 16-ish, that's not that's a short throw to 19. Yeah, I mean, if I can see, based off that podcast saying that the Eagles could be in the mix there, you can make a case for the Titans, although the Titans, from my hit on ESPN Radio earlier in the week out there in Tennessee, they want a QB bad, and they're trying to find a way to get from 11 to 3. But assuming they can't get from 11 to 3, we know Derrick Henry's not long there, right? You could go take Bijan, pass the torch. Texans wouldn't do it. Jets wouldn't do it. Patriots, I wouldn't want the Patriots to do it because I think that's bad for Bijan. Packers don't need to do it. Washington doesn't need to do it. Steelers doesn't. Yeah, there's not a lot of teams. If he doesn't go to Philly at 10, I'm not seeing a lot of teams who are in position to do it, to justifiably do it, until you get to 19 and the Bucks. And then 21, the Chargers make sense because they're trying to get Eckler up out of there. Corey, to go top 10, the running back needs to be Saquon, talent-wise. I mean, Marshall Faulk talent is better than Saquon talent, so I don't know. Saquon's stronger than Marshall Faulk, but in terms of talent and skill set, give me Marshall Faulk. So I don't know. The dude that's being compared to Marshall Faulk, I don't think he should be taken this much further behind a Saquon. Lombardi, it depends on how devoid of talent the draft is. I just don't see them going top Baron like an Eagles situation. Okay. That's fair. I just think sometimes, as much as I think, what do they say? It's a quote. Something favors the bold. I'm blanking on the beginning of that quote. Something favors the bold. Basically, most times you get rewarded for taking a risk. And I don't think taking Bijan top 10 or between 10 and 20 is that big of a risk at all. You're going to have a pretty shitty system for him to not be able to flourish in it. Or he gets hurt. Like, I don't see a lot of scenarios where Bijan is a bust. Like, let's go ahead and do the little profile thing they have here. I mean, you see the production, you see the amount of carry, so he doesn't even have a lot of tread on that tire. He doesn't even have a lot of tread on that tire. He showed he can catch the rock a little bit. Touchdown machine. You see the yards per attempt. He's got some hops. He's got some real hops. 4.4 in the 40. So he checks a lot of boxes. And when you just watch him, you could just see it. I can't play this up because it's copyright, but like, y'all know. Bring the heat. Titans should trade and tank. They won't, but should. You must have been listening to me on ESPN radio on Wednesday, because that's exactly what I brought up. I would tank for Caleb Williams. Instead of trying to trade up and trying to get in the mix with Will Levis or even Anthony Richardson. I think more so Will Levis. But if they trade up from 11-3 or 11-4, well, whatever it takes, the amount of draft capital they would have to give up for a roster that is clearly having to rebuild, I'd rather just tank and try to go get Caleb Williams next year. To me, that's the safer play, and I put it out there. I got some pushback on ESPN radio, but I stood 10 toes down. I think that's the better move than having to give up. Because, again, you saw what the Panthers had to give up to get from 9-1. What are you going to have to give up to get from 11-3? Like, that's a lot, yo. I just don't see it. I don't see that being worthy when you're getting at 3. Again, you don't have the infrastructure of, like, if they have a Jim Caldwell type, maybe I listen. But to my knowledge, and being that, you know, I've covered a few of their games a few years ago, a couple of years ago. There's no Jim Caldwell in that organization, or Malik Willis will be way better than what he is right now. So clearly, there's no one there who can really fix or tinker. So you can't take Anthony Richardson, and I'm not giving up what it would take to go from 11-3 for no Will Levis. I don't care that he was in the McVay pro-style offense. I don't care. I'm not giving up what it would take for a roster that they're in salary cap hell, a roster that is bereft of talent, that doesn't have a QB of the future, is about to lose their only weapon in offense in Derrick Henry next year. There's no way I'm going to give up all that draft collateral to move up to take Will Levis. So I'd rather tank this year and try to go get Caleb Williams next year. Thank you, Lombardi. Fortune favors the bold. Thank you. Thank you. Brain fart there for me. Lombardi. Not saying I agree with the assessment, but of course, it's a pass in league and RBs. Well, I think the issue here, Lombardi, my only pushback is that Bijan could catch the rock. And that's why he's getting the comparisons to Marshall Faulk. If you have a running back who can be a Christian McCaffrey type, if you have a running back who can, be that type of dude, you wouldn't take that? Top 10, top 20? Even if I said he's a bootleg Christian McCaffrey, that's not good enough? In today's NFL? You saw how Shanahan's offense looked so much better once they had McCaffrey back there? It didn't look that dominant before they made that trade. Then all of a sudden they go trade for C-Mac, and all of a sudden, he's going to get 3-4 touchdowns in the game. Like, now the offense is cooking again. Surprise, surprise. You put a top-tier running back in a system that, is predicated on running the ball, away we go. So I think Bijan Robinson is the type of talent where he's worth taking that type of risk to me. Oh, yeah, I'm not saying Lombardi Packers got Aaron Jones after A.J. Dillon. Yeah, I'm not saying the Packers should do it. I don't think I said that. If I said that, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if we're assuming he gets past the Eagles at 10, we're assuming the Titans don't do it because either they're trying to trade up for a quarterback or they're trying to fortify the offensive line because they had to cut Taylor Lewan, right? Titans aren't going to do it. Jets aren't going to do it. I don't think the Patriots do it, and for Bijan's sake, I hope the Patriots don't do it. Packers have too many good running backs. They're not going to do it. Washington has their running back. Pittsburgh has their running back. Now, the Lions went and signed a running back, so they're not going to take him. 19 is the spot. Tampa Bay's the spot. If they pass on him, now, to me, he has to go here to 21st to the Chargers. He has to go 21st here to the Chargers because Austin Eckler wants out. Now, if they, for some reason, pass on him, I don't know where he goes after that. Baltimore, I don't see them doing it with JK there. Vikings, there's been a lot of smoke about Dalvin Cook, but I don't see them doing it. Jaguars got Etienne, they're not doing it. Giants got Saquon, although Saquon on the tag. Would the Giants do it? Saquon has not signed his tag. If you're the Giants, can't do that, right? You need a receiver, right? You can't take it, right? So let's assume that, right? Hey, Corey, what would you do if Bijan's there at 26? If he's still there for the Bills, and they don't do it, shit, that's crazy. Thank you for those who are pulling up. Appreciate y'all pulling up to the stream. If you could do your boy a favor, drop that like. Helps the algorithm do things. Be very appreciative. It lets people know that this stream is valuable and you're getting some value out of this content that we're doing. You can be active in the chat here. No one ducks smoke. Just make sure you have good, strong opinions and you have research and or facts to back them up. Alexander, I'm definitely down for the live stream during the draft. Okay, dope. I'm locked in. We can go ahead and say it for sure. We are going to be live during the first round of the NFL draft. We could go ahead and lock that in. Corey, Titans have a rookie black GM. No time for tanking. Yes, right? Hard stop. However, I think if ever there was a time that I don't think he'll have any more influence than he has right now. Ryan Tannehill's gone after this year. Most likely, Derrick Henry is gone after this year. That team will have no identity. The problem is that Even if you go Malik Willis and have Tannehill as the backup, I don't think that's bad enough to be able to be in position to take Caleb Williams. Unless, now how about this? I think I also said this on ESPN Radio earlier in the week, but let me see if I can flesh this out even better here than I did spontaneously on the fly Wednesday. All right. You see them sitting at 11, right? Let's do the big board, the full board. They have their first, they have their second. They don't have multiple seconds. They do not have multiple seconds. They have their third. They don't even have conditional thirds. They do not have a fourth round pick. They have a fifth. So they don't have a lot of collateral, right? Do you make trades this year to position yourself better for next year to be able to move up? What I'm asking is that do you trade back out of 11 to try to get collateral in next year's draft because you're going to try to arm up to be able to move up like the Panthers did next year with the intention of trying to go get Caleb Williams? Can you find someone to give you a future first for this 11th? Or at least a second? You get a second rounder, maybe you could package a couple of seconds and a future first in 25. Like, I think if you're Tennessee, there's a lot of smoke about them trying to move up to this Arizona spot at 3. And if that's the case, they're probably looking at Will Levis. I can't see myself doing it. I'd rather trade back. And get some collateral to try to build up the war chest to potentially sweeten my offer next year to try to move up. Because the prize next year is Caleb Williams, and he's better than any quarterback that's going to be drafted this year. So I'm not wasting collateral to move up when I know there's a better QB coming next year. Now, you can have some things about Lincoln Riley and his system, and you can nitpick, but the talent's there. I'm taking Caleb Williams over all these dudes that's coming out this year. But that's just me. Lombardi, my point is you can find these good running backs in later rounds. Yeah, but you can't find no Bijan. That's my thing. I'm saying the gap between Bijan Robinson and everybody else is enough that I don't think that merits this year. In past years, yes. And maybe in future years, yes. I think this year, Bijan is that much better than all these other dudes. And yes, you can find guys and be able to squeeze something out of them of value, of note. But in terms of high ceiling, like we've been talking about with Anthony Richardson, the highest ceiling for any running back is Bijan Robinson. And he's put up the stats to show you what he can do. Chargers would take a wide receiver. I mean, that's fair. I mean, Mike Williams is always hurt. Josh Palmer hasn't really worked out as of yet. He's battled injuries as well. See the Falcons at 30. See the Eagles at 30. Oof. Eagles get them at 30. Crazy. Corey, if Bijan is there at 26, you take him. Okay. So, again, you see the Cowboys here. If they find a way, if y'all let Bijan fall all the way to the Cowboys, y'all ain't never going to hear the end of it from Corey. I can tell you that right now. Y'all better not let that happen on night one, because he will be insufferable in the chat. I can tell you that, live and direct. He will be insufferable in the chat. Jerry Jones will mess it up, don't worry. I mean, well, allegedly Steven's taking on more of a role, but yes, it still begins and ends with Jerry. But we'll see. We'll see. Corey, are you starting your anti-Caleb talk already? I mean, he won a Heisman. You're usually pro Heisman, according to the chat. Let's see what we got here. We're coming up on 2 hours. It's rare that we get a 2-hour live stream on a Friday. Normally, there's not enough going on. But you know. Okay, Corey saying Steven is running the show. Jerry is 80. But Jerry still has the final say though, no? If Jerry really wants someone, Steven's gonna say no to his pops. Yes, anti-Caleb show has already begun. All right, see? So, you know. Caleb does not look the part for Corey. Let's see. Do we have a 2024? Let me see if I can find a 2024. Thank you for y'all for hanging in. We'll probably go another 8 minutes. We'll do a flat 2 hours. We'll do a good strong 2 hours. So we got about another 10 minutes. Trying to see if I can find a 2024 way too early mock draft. Let's see. Ooh, Caleb is not the first. Oh boy. Well, this year, well, okay. I'll just put this up real quick. The year is wrong. It's 2024. But Caleb has the second pick. Marvin Harrison Jr. has the third pick. Drake May from Carolina. Jeremiah Trotter. He's got to be an edge guy, right? There's no way him as a linebacker. I don't think he's a linebacker at the next level. And if he is, how is a linebacker going top 10? Yeah. To me, it's Caleb Williams. If you need a receiver, then maybe you talk about Marvin Harrison, but Junior, that is. We don't speak on the father here because I don't want that smoke. I value my life. Allegedly. Let's see. Yeah, but is he top 10 though? Trotterson is inside linebacker. Okay, so then, but from the little I've seen, and again, I'm not going to pretend like I've been watching him a lot. I didn't see nothing that says this guy should be top 10. I mean, he's got the pedigree, but y'all really had me out here looking up the definition of QBR. I want y'all to never forget that. We had to look up the definition of QBR today on a Friday. But this is why I like this stream, because this stream is so fluid. I have my set. Like, I ain't even get to Daniel Snyder. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just show y'all the Daniel Snyder blurb. If Daniel Snyder sells the Commanders, what will become of the NFL's investigation into him? And basically, he's selling the team in the middle of being investigated by the NFL. And he's supposed to be reporting back to Congress, and he's ducking all of that smoke. And he's going to run away with $6 billion. And it hasn't really been mentioned except for this one article here on Outside the Lines on the four-letter network. Your man's Daniel Snyder. Workplace harassment, toxic workplace environment, funny with the money, scheming land in Arlington, Virginia for 100 M's, piss poor for facilities, piss poor treatment of employees, but he gets to walk away with $6 billion. Anyway. Do I have a, yes. Okay. So Alex, there is a Discord. I I started it very early when I started this YouTube channel originally. I will not lie to you. I have not been active on that Discord. But if that's a thing y'all want to do, let me know and I will get that thing back up and running. It's still up. I just haven't been in there because I wasn't able to get a lot of traction in there early on. But if y'all want to get into the Discord, I'm ready. It's already set up. It's there. So I had it built around my podcast, and that's where the Discord was going to begin. But if we can pivot it to just be people from here on YouTube want to continue the conversation on Discord, I can easily make that happen. So if y'all are into the Discord, let me know. Well, where did they have Julius at? Let's see. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. My bad. Let me see. You live on Discord. Okay. Hey, I'm down for it. I'm down for it. I'm trying to build however way I can, put something out here for y'all to be able to contribute to and have a sense of community. I'm all for it. So if it's Discord, I will tap into that and get it back up and running up to speed. I think the link on my channel page still works. So yeah, I'm all for that. So I could definitely make that happen and start to get more involved on the Discord. So let's see. Let me do a quick check of the timeline. Watch Julius at K-State do this a 6'3" animal. Okay. And he projects as a corner at the next level? Because that's a Gilmore type. That's like Stephen Gilmore. That's taller than Gilmore. Gilmore's what, 6'1", 6'2"? Let's see if we can find any kind of information before we get up out of here and bid y'all adieu for the weekend. If you're into the podcast, I will be recording the podcast tonight, dropping that in the morning. Link for the podcast is in the description. The Sam D Podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for The Sam D, or you can just click the link in the YouTube description. A lot of NBA there. This stream has been primarily NFL. That's kind of what's been the stuff that's been, pushing the channel. So, I give the people what they want. On the podcast, I give the people what they want. They want basketball over there. So I was hopefully imagining a world where both worlds could combine and I could do NFL and NBA in all spots, but it is what it is. So I give the people what they want on each platform. Let's see. Going through my list here, making sure there's nothing big that we missed. And as always, if y'all see anything on y'all own that y'all think could be valuable to the stream, you can always drop links in the chat, or at least, give me the story. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Daniel Snyder, good thing that red is still up. Courtesy of Darren Hayes, who was out there in the DMV. A $7 billion offer to buy the Commanders by a DC native is still in play. Sources say the bidder can pay for the team in all cash. $7 billion in all cash? Who is it? Brian Davis, DC native. And he is apparently a black man. Okay, I'm reading the little blurb here. He would become the NFL's first black owner. His bid is still in play. Why would Daniel Snyder take $6 billion from the 76ers guy if there's a $7 billion cash offer from a DC native who also happens to be black? I'll click on this story. Hopefully there's no annoying pop-ups. Don't be no pop-ups. Don't be no pop-ups. Oh, no pop-ups yet. Okay, let's zoom in. Let's read this as a family. The Washington Commander's sale may not be finalized as reports indicated Thursday evening, according to new information. Bank of America, the group handling sale offers for the Snyder family, was still in communication with at least one of the other bidders as of 8:30 p.m. Thursday, asking if they were available to proceed with their offer, according to a source close to the deal. Get that out of here. The bid being discussed was made by D.C. native Brian Davis as a $7 billion cash offer. Okay, these bid details were first reported on the radio. Documents obtained by this network confirmed the financial details of the bid made by Davis on March 21st. According to the documents, Davis is offering to pay the first $1 billion to Dan Snyder within 24 hours and $6 billion within 7 days. Davis is also willing to indemnify Dan Snyder as a condition of his offer, according to the March 21st letter, meaning Davis is willing to take on any legal liability related to Dan Snyder and the ongoing investigations with the team. That's huge. That's huge. Get that out the way. Indemnify. So he's basically saying you can walk away clean and whatever happens, I'll take the hit for you. Sources said Thursday afternoon that Dan Snyder had reached an agreement with an investment group led by billionaire Josh Harris to sell the team for $6.05 billion. The deal would be the highest price paid for a North American professional sport franchise. Forbes estimates the team is worth $5.6 billion. Wow. How's that for a Friday news dump? Here's your Friday news dump. Daniel Snyder thought he could walk away with just that $6 billion and not get no smoke on the way out. Ain't no way, if this is legitimate, which by this report it certainly seems to be, ain't no way Roger Goodell can let this $7 billion offer to buy this team by a DC native who also happens to be black. No way they could let this go. Absolutely, positively, no way they could let this go. $7 billion straight cash, homie? They tricked this off. Roger Goodell is going to go out there and take a lot of bullets publicly. He's going to have to take a lot of bullets publicly if this is true. If Daniel Snyder proceeds with the $6 billion, he turns away $1 billion more. This is the number he wanted from Bezos. This is what he wanted from Bezos. Bezos bowed out. Dude who owns the Houston Rockets, Fertitta, bowed out. Roger Goodell is going to have some explaining to do publicly. I hope Jim Trotter, who's now a free agent, lights it up. Run it up on them if this happens. If they take the $6 billion offer instead of this $7 billion offer, that is one, straight cash, homie. Two, is by a local DC native who you would assume is a Commanders fan, just like Snyder is and was, or was and is. And he would become the NFL's first black owner? How are you saying no? And he's willing to take the bullets from you from Congress? He's willing to indemnify Daniel Snyder? Oh, this is wild. This is wild. Something's going to have to give here. What other information can we find on this? Wait, is that Brian Davis from Duke? That's why they had the picture here. It's this Brian Davis, bruh, from Duke? This is who it is? Yo, bruh. This is an interesting dynamic. How is this a thing? This has to be reported more places. Let me do some checking on the timeline. I'm not seeing a lot of information on this elsewhere. Let me just make sure. He's the only one with this story, Darren Hayes. There's going to have to be some explaining to do if this is for real. If this is for real, because I can't find too many other sources that have this story. And this is why it's timeline T. Sometimes the tea is a little fugazi. Sometimes it's a little Earl Grey and some matcha and some other nonsense. It's not that ginger tea. It's not that spice. It's not that sizzle. I don't know what type of tea this is, but this tea here, if we're to believe it, could be really monumental. And I didn't make the connection that this is the Brian Davis dude from Duke from back in the day. Now, there's some stuff with him and Leitner in terms of fraud back in the day, allegedly, if I remember correctly. So again, the all cash part here, I don't know if I'm rolling. But on the surface, there's absolutely no way Roger Goodell could let this happen to where Daniel Snyder does not accept this deal. Number one, the $7 billion elevates all the other owners. The team is valued at 5.6. Somebody comes in and blows you out the water and offers 7. It's very similar to Deshaun Watson with the Falcons and the other Browns, right? It's okay for them to accept higher bids, but God forbid a player is able to do the same type of, all right, I'll fall back. But in regards to this helps the owners because now all their evaluations are going to go even higher. This can help PR in terms of diversity in the NFL, even though we still know it'll be largely still a sham. But you would then have, assuming Brian Davis is one of the main investors here, a team, a franchise that has a black face as its owner. And then you have someone who is a native to the area owning the team. There's a lot of things that can go right here if this is legit. But if was a spliff, we'll all be high. So we'll have to figure this out. I will leave y'all on that note. I will be updating y'all in the community, and I will make sure that the Discord for Alex and whoever else wants to pull up is up to speed for next week. And, check the community section as well. I also, tap in with some updates on the channel and things that's going on for the stream on the community section of this channel. So tap into that as well. But I will leave y'all on that note. It is a Friday. It is still It's still sunny outside and it is beautiful weather. I'm going to hit the rooftop and see what's good. So I will leave y'all on that note. Any updates, find it either on the Elon app at TheCMD. You see it there in the corner, or you can hit the community section. It's been a great week of streams, been a great week of shows. Going to be putting out, repurposing some clips. If you missed any of the content, tap into the regular videos. It'll be clips of a lot of the stuff we've been talking about. It's been a busy, hectic week. So this weekend, I'll be dedicating time to make sure I repurpose some of that stuff out and get it out and keep building this audience, keep building this community. So for Timeline T, I am the Sam D, a.k.a. Sam Duzme Jr. Y'all have a good weekend. I'll catch y'all Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on Timeline T. Peace.